Good evening, my name is Diego Alejandro Cortez, and I'm continuing with my defense of my research project, entitled Exploring the Relationship between Listening Comprehension and Oral Fluency in the Development of Communication Skills. Learning English as a foreign language involves developing four important skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Each plays as essential role in the communication process. However, listening is a special skill, as by listening in English, a student not only learn new words but also better understand the language and can develop deeper and more personal speaking skills. Like all skills, listening was included in the basic learning rights. These skills allow students to understand what others say, identify key information, and develop their ability to interpret the language independently and mindfully. However, classroom teaching activities in this context are very monotonous. That is, they are repetitive, lacking in variety, or are interesting activity that have no connection to the student reality. Because of this, a low levels of listening comprehension can be observed in the students who are unable to understand even the simplest conversation. To mitigate this shortcoming, many education professionals have made great efforts to implement methodologies that bridge the gap in these aspects. This includes communicative language teaching, CLT, or social cultural theory, as well as technology, mediated learning methodologies that method facilitate and enrich the teaching and learning process, such as digital storytelling with videos and images, increases student motivation and engagement. It is in this context that idea of creating a new way of teaching English arose, through immersion in listening comprehension, where students can be more exposed to listening to English as big technology can, they make the teaching process more engaging. The purpose of the research is to analyze whether this methodology can enhance autonomy and competence in the English learning through listening comprehension linked to speaking fluencies among young students in 9th grade at San Rafael Education Institution. For the analysis of this student, a guiding question was used as compass guiding the development of the research process. What is the connection between listening comprehension and speaking fluency in student English language learning at the San Rafael Education Institution? This question is intended to be answered through the following objectives. General objectives: to analyze the relationship between listening comprehension and speaking fluency in the learning of English as a foreign language among 9th grade students at San Rafael Education Institution. Specific objectives: first one, to access the listening comprehension of the student at San Rafael Education Institution. The second one, to design and implement an intervention program. And the last one, examine the students' oral fluency level before and after training and verify whether they develop oral fluencies in English. My project is based on two fundamental approaches: the communicative language approach, CLT, and Vygotsky's social cultural theology. Both approaches are key because they shift the traditional grammar content centers, teaching model, and allow for the creating of space where the students actually use the language to communicate. This is especially necessary in contexts like ours, where grammatical structures are often pluralized or actual language use. Listening comprehension and oral fluency are the pillars of this work. These are skills that although often understatement in the classroom have a direct impact on the development of communicative competence. Also integrate reading comprehension not as the main focus, but as a complementary tools that support the practice. And all this is framed within the idea that learning a language is not just about memorized rules, but about having mindful communicating experience. For this research, methodology adapt the context of a public institution with limits exposed to English was developed a quasi-experimental design with mixed approach was chosen, combines objective text with interview and observation to assess both student performance and perceptions. The student was conducted at the San Rafael Education Institution in Buenaventura, Valle del Cauca, with 23 ninth grade students. The activity focused on listening comprehension through history, simple video, and other exercise, although it was not possible to work with a control group, but the collection, the information was through the read and post tests were administered, and in addition to interview and observation, the activities were designed to be mindful, contextual, and motivating. Respecting ethical principles and ensuring informed concepts. The constant presence of the research in the classroom facilitate the process. This student with a mixed approach in quasi-experimental design show a direct relation between listening comprehension and oral fluency in English. In Italy, most students showed low level of comprehension and little confidence in expressing themselves orally. However, after activity involving short video and question, a notable improvement was observed. 48% reaches a high level and participate with great confidence. The contextualized and interactive strategies used will help strengthen both listening comprehension and oral expression. All those time was a limitation that research support theories such as those of Krashen and Long, demonstrating that listening exposes significantly improved communicative performance in English as a foreign language. In conclusion, despite the contextual challenges, the results obtained show that use of strategies focused on listening comprehension and speaking is effective and motivating for the student. With more time and continuity, this methodology could significantly strengthen the development of English communication skills. This student addressing the relation between listening comprehension and speaking fluency and ninth grade student at San Rafael Education Institution, highlighting the value of active strategies based on listening and speaking through activities such as storytelling, the use of keyword and multiple choice question. It was evident that students gains confidence and improve their communication skill when they better understand what they hear. So the results, although limited by time, cited that these methodologies promote more mindful learning of English as a foreign language. Furthermore, the student provide accessible pedagogical tools to promote student participation, autonomy, and linguistic development, reaffirming the importance of adapting language teaching to more dynamic and student-centered contexts. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Bye.